Okay, hello. Sorry this one's late. I recorded this yesterday and then realised that the sound hasn't worked. And it's just a video of me going, that's pointless. So I've had to re-record it this morning for you. So chapter 21, the ticking clock, and it is the grand finale. So here we go. We sit in a clearing behind the centre to go through the end game. Each of us has a role to play, and if any of us fail, the whole plan will come crashing down. It requires total investment from all of us, and total investment is challenging when you haven't slept properly in 2 days. Everyone is assigned a job to match their skill set. Big Mac, you understand construction and you're strong. You'll be stationed at the dam site. Your priority will be getting that dam down however you can. We need the river flowing back down into the crater. Aid, you're smart and you're fast. I need you to help Mac at the dam. You'll need to distract the guards while he susses out where the weak spot is. Once he's made a dent in it, I want both of you back. I want both of you to attack a bug eye. The rest of the plan depends on them releasing the pheromone and drawing all the others up to the river. Use the swarm. They'll be frenzied and aggressive, so you might even be able to get them to do a lot of the damage to the destruction to the dam for you. Try to lure them into the riverbed so that when the dam breaks, they're swept away. We'll get it done, Mac says. And we'll keep each other safe. When the river floods through, you both need to be clear of the torrent. Affirmative, Adrian nods. Big Mac and Adrian, the perfect team, Kat says. Your ship name can be Big Mad. No. Marianne. No. Madriac. Both Mac and Adrian turn pink, so I move on. Chet, they don't know you're not a bug eye anymore. You can be our undercover brother. You need to keep Digger and Hawk from going with the others when the swarm. They're clever. They'll work out what we're trying to do, and that could jeopardize the whole thing. We need to keep them away from the dam. Got it, says Chet's. Katja, you're blessed with an innocent face and mad climbing skills. I need you to lure Digger. No problem, she says. And I'll take on Hawk. She'll come for me anyway. It's about time we faced off. The sun is getting low in the sky, and we need the dam down before it gets dark. The bug eyes can see at night, and we can't. So they'll have too much of an advantage if we leave it late. Good luck, everyone, I say. Let's get ready to rumble. I wait nervously with Katja in the trees at the side of the lawn. I hope Madriac are all right, Kat says. They'll look out for each other. I'm sure they're okay. I guess we'll find out soon, one way or another. It's still wicked hot, but for the first time in days, there's a slight breeze. It feels amazing as it tickles my skin, and it carries a faint smell of blossom. It's almost like life is coming back to the crater, and it gives me hope. Look, Kat says, pointing at the bug eyes, who up until now have been completely engrossed in draining the lake. The water is ankle deep. Like a flock of frightened deer, they all suddenly raise their heads and sniff the air. They turn in the direction of the dam, and then they drop their tools and run. Oh gosh, how are Aid and Matt going to manage with all those angry bug eyes? Kat says. We can't worry about that now, I say. Besides, the force is strong with them. If anyone can do it, they can. Look, Chet's is up. Chet has been stalking around the tree line as if he's on hunter duty. When the bug eyes start to swarm, he runs towards Hawk and Digger. Hunters, seize! He calls as they turn to join the others flocking to the dam site. He's totally got that bug eye lingo down, I say. Yeah, he's embracing the role. Hawk and Digger turn to Chet, who is still wearing his sunglasses. Takes our sign. That's our sign to take position, Kat says, and hugs me. We leave the shelter and the trees. I can't get my words out this morning. We leave the shelter of the trees and sprint on to the floodlit lawn. The white lights glare down on us like spotlights. We're out in the open and visible to everyone in the crater. My vision blurs, so I can't see anybody except Kat, and this is where we go our separate ways. She's gone in a swoosh of colour, and I run as fast as I can. Towards the patch of tall trees on the far side of the lawn, in the corner of my eye, I can see distorted shapes of Chet, Hawk, and Digger. Chet starts to jog my way. Digger gallops after Kat. Hawk is shooting towards me like an arrow with a vendetta. I closed my mind to everything around me except the enormous tree looming ahead and making my legs move faster and faster. I expect every moment to be tackled from behind, flung into the hard dirt ground, my teeth clashing together and breath being knocked from my body. But Chet must be doing a good job of slowing Hock down. I reach the tree. It has a rope ladder on one side. I launch myself at it and grab the highest rung I can. Then I start to pull myself up, my muscles throbbing. I'm not the best at climbing, and I wouldn't usually attempt this without a harness, but I have to get higher. I'm a third of the way up when Hock reaches the tree. I look down to see her lurching at me, but her fingers miss my foot by a few centimeters. "I've got you now, Lance," she says. "This is a dead end. There's nowhere for you to run." I keep moving upwards, one rung at a time, until I reach the wooden platform. Once I've heaved myself onto it, I look down. Hock and Chet are still on the ground, having a discussion. Chet points to a tree nearby and jogs towards it, while Hock starts climbing up after me. When I look down, all I can see are those creepy mad eyes, the shining black and glowing yellow. The urge to jump is almost overwhelming, but I know I have to wait. I look across the lawn at the climbing wall. Katya is halfway up it, taking a complicated route, zigzagging across it like a rainbow-coloured ant. Every now and then, she stops to pour something on the hand and footholds. She's totally doing it like a boss. Digger is behind her, but not as fast as I'd thought he'd be. He's definitely changed shape. He's bigger, especially across his chest, so he must be stronger. But he's sort of twitching in a pretty disturbing way. He reaches the wall and throws himself on me. He reaches the wall and throws himself onto it like an animal. He goes for the direct route upwards, grabbing the handholds and perching on the tiny footholds like he's done this a million times. Every now and then, he stops and his whole body sort of shudders. Hock looks over and smiles. "Ah, the Sporling's metamorphosis is complete. Take a look, Lance, at my majestic form of a hunter." I watch in horror as Digger's shuddering grows more and more violent. Then the top of his back massively expands, bursting through his polo shirt, which falls into shreds on the floor. His shoulder blades are overly prominent, still growing. They pull apart, splitting his skin open to reveal a mass of dark grey fuzz underneath. He claws at his face and his human skin peels away, exposing new skin, which makes it matte black and velvet. He doesn't look like a person anymore. He doesn't look like a giant wasp or one of those huge-eyed aliens that you see on TV. He's something I could never have imagined, something impossible. Monster with a mix of human and insect-like features, and a head like a mouldy potato. Although Digger's head was a bit potatoey before, he transformed. So maybe that's just him. And just as I think he couldn't get any scarier, his shoulder blades extend out of his back, dripping black goo, and start to stretch into what I can only express are wings. Katya screams, and I don't blame her. I want to scream, and I'm not up close and personal with Digger's monstrosity. He'll have her soon. Oh, he'll have her soon, Hock says, and carries on climbing up the tree. I watch Kat with my heart racing and my mouth dry. She's almost at the top of the wall. He's close behind, but he's having trouble moving his hands and feet. Our plan is working. Kat's fingers grasp the summit, and she starts to heave herself up. Digger tries to follow, but he can't move his right hand from the handhold. His feet are stuck too. He jiggles about and pulls and finally gets his left hand loose. He lunges towards Katya and grabs her shoe. For half a second, she falls back. Then she drops something on Digger and kicks out. Digger makes a noise that's somewhere between a scream and a roar. His wings stop unfurling. They must be stuck too. Katya clings to the wall and slowly eases herself up, leaving her trainer in Digger's hand, and Digger roaring in fury, stuck to the superglued wall like a paralyzed spider. Doesn't look like he's going to have her after all, I say, so full of relief that I feel like I might cry. Hock looks over. No, no, no! This is your doing, Lance Sparshot. You vile little reprobate. She quickens her pace. Time to move. I ease myself around the platform to the other side of the trunk, where the thick rope is swinging slightly in the breeze. The leap of faith. An uncomfortably large distance away, stretched between two trees, is a large net. So there's me on my ridiculously high platform, and then a load of empty space, which I have to cross if I'm going to get away from Hock and put her out of action. I turn to see her fingertips appearing at the edge of the platform. I hold the rope and try not to think about the huge drop to the ground. If I fall, there's no way I'm going to make it out without breaking most of my bones in my body. The top of her head appears, and those truly awful eyes. She hisses at me, which I think is alien speak for I hate you and I'm going to kill you / use your body as a host for my parasitic sporlings. I count 3 breaths. I hear a click of her heel on a wooden ledge, then I fling myself from the platform. At first, I freefall, down through the air with nothing to hold me back. The feeling is sickening. I brace myself for the kick when the rope I'm clinging to for dear life goes taut. This is the most dangerous moment, the whole part where I'm most likely to lose my grip and fall. The rope jerks, my hand slips. My body jars at the bounce. I try to grasp the rope tighter, but it slides through my hands, burning my palms. The forward momentum is still swinging me towards the net. I just need to hold on for a second longer. My sore hands reach the end of the rope as I near the landing net. I have one chance. So I let go and basically fly through the last bit of the empty air and crash face first into the net. I manage to grab it with one hand and try to lock it shut while the rest of my body bounces away from the net and then back towards it again. I get my other hand onto the rope, then a foot. I've made it. I hang there for a second, dripping with sweat and relief. There's no breath left in my body. But Hock has grabbed the swinging rope and is strapping herself into the safety harness. I force myself onwards, climbing the net as quickly as I can, though my whole body wants to give up and die. I only have a few seconds before she jumps. I slide clumsily onto the platform. I'm not going to be winning any awards for being slick. Then I take off my backpack and pull out a can of olive oil. Hock jumps at the same moment she clocks the oil. She howls, but it's too late. I pour it all over the safety net. When she hits it, she tries to grab on, but her hands just slip off. She bounces back and tries again to return on the return swing, but her hands are oily now, so she has even less success. She's losing momentum and she can't get to the net. She's stuck and she knows it, hanging above the ground on a rope. She screams, roars, screams again. She scraws like Digger did, only hers is a higher pitch, so it sounds even more terrible. I put my hands over my ears while I grin at her furious face. The rope is almost out of swing, so she's just dangling there from the harness in the center point between the trees. She can't get to either side and she can't drop down. One of her shoes falls off into the darkness below. "You'll pay for this," she says. "It doesn't matter what happens to me. My race is stronger. Stronger, smarter, and better than you in every single way. We will dominate this world, and you will be forgotten." I'd love to stop and chat, miss, I say, but if you look to your left, you'll see that the river is flowing back into the crater, so I'm afraid your precious sporlings aren't going to be escaping anytime soon. She turns to see the river surging down to the bottom of the crater, carrying most of the Bug Eyes workers with it. They're so weak from the moss soup and the cold water that they're not even attempting to climb out, just scrambling around with panicked looks on their faces. Mac and Adrian did it. I climbed down from the tree and collapsed onto the floor. How's that tunnel blocking going? I asked Kat, who runs over and flops down beside me. Chet is nearly finished. He worked out how to operate those digging machinery, she says. So he's digging in reverse? Yes, and still wearing the sunglasses. He thinks they make him look cool, she says. Well done, Lance. Your plan worked. It was all of us, I say. That was some epic climbing. I nearly fell when that black slime started oozing out of him, she says. She looks over at where the thing that used to be Digger is glued to the wall, jerking around, still trying to get loose. Poor Digger. He looks disgusting. An abomination, I agree. I guess he must have skipped dinner, or maybe because he's been turned the longest, the moss didn't work so well on him. Do you think if we get him some more water bears, he might turn back? I don't think there's any coming back from that, I say. But hopefully the others will be okay. Are you up to doing one more job? Of course. We're not safe until we get the word out. Will you take my mobile and climb up to the roof? If you can get reception, phone the police, MI5, the men in black, and my mum. I want nothing more. Oh, I'm on it, she says, taking my mobile and running back across the lawn. I want nothing more than to lie here and fall asleep, but there's still work to be done, so I force myself to get up. Without my phone, I'm not sure what time it is exactly, but the crescent moon is high in the sky and the stars are twinkling. With the floodlights on, I can see the lawn and the lake, and they're buzzing with activity. I walk over to where Chet is driving the digger and obviously having the time of his life. He grins at me and gives me a thumbs up. When you're done, I call, dodging out of the way of a pile of earth tumbling off the scoop. Can you go and look for Digger's keys? If we can get to his office, we might be able to use the phone. I don't know if Kat's going to have any luck getting a reception from the roof. He usually keeps them in his pocket, he yells. I think his trousers are mostly still intact, I say, though I don't even want to think about where they might be. The keys might have fallen out when he turned. If not, I'll climb up and I'll see if I can get them, Chet says. You sure you're okay with that? He looks pretty scary. Don't worry it. I can handle it. I give him a wave and make my way to the lake. It's going to take a while to get used to this new Chet. The lake is full of bug eyes splashing around. Adrian and Big Mac are running around the edges, poking them back in with oars when they get too close to dry land. Hey, Lance, Big Mac shouts. We did it. Woohoo! Adrian punches the air with her fist. You guys did it. Amazing. You guys did amazing, I yell. You're heroes. You too, mate. Big Mac comes running over to me. Some of this lot are turning human, so we can start getting them out. They're tired, though. Maybe we could get something to help them. Some life jackets or something. Adrian prods Atul, who definitely still has bug eyes, deeper into the water. I think there's a dinghy and a boat in the boat shed, I say. I saw it when we were hiding in there. That would be perfect. I'll go and get it. I run around the lake to the pier, open the door to the boat shed and flick on the light. I see what I needed towards the back of the shed. Behind the canoes and oars, there are some inflatable rafts. It's going to be a squeeze to get them, so I take off my backpack and chuck it onto the pier. Then I go for the inflatables, climbing over piles of ropes and oars until I'm at the back of the shed. Suddenly, the light flickers. My first thought is that the light bulb must have popped, but I turn on instinct and, in the flash of a light, I see her. Then everything goes black. I crouch down behind the rafts. It's no good hiding, Hawk's voice hisses from somewhere in the darkness. I can see you. I swallow. Damn those bug eyes. Miss Hawk, I say, I thought I left you hanging around by the leap of faith. Get it? Hanging around? She doesn't laugh. I managed to find my way out of your pathetic little trap. Anger is a great motivator. Her voice is a little closer this time. You should know, a boy like you, full of anger and aggression. If you were going to make it past today, you'd only end up in prison. You've got me all wrong, I say, fumbling with the inflatables in front of me. The thing is, the things I've done, trapping Trent in the toilets, everything at Crater Lake, I didn't do that out of anger. I did it to help my friends. And now you've ruined our plans, she says. She must be barely more than a metre away now. My Spallings are destroyed. Soon I'll be the only one left. You don't like soup, I say. My human body is allergic to carrots, so I found alternative nourishment. Okay, I say. I'm stalling. I need a few seconds more. Firstly, a carrot allergy, that's random. And secondly, the way you say alternative nourishment sounds totally creepy, like you were eating humans or something. I know what you're doing, she says. She says, she's so close I can feel her breath on my arm. But there's no way out of getting out of this alive. You're not clever enough to defeat me. See, that's where you're wrong, I say, and I yank the ripcord of the dinghy in front of me. It pops up hard and starts inflating, knocking Hock back. I hear a crash and a scrawl, and I run clambering over the boats towards the light coming in around the edge of the door. I fling it open and run out to the pier, grabbing my backpack. There's a deafening roar behind me, and Hock comes running out of the shed. Do you know what I say? Do you know what, miss? I say, running and trying to open my backpack. I might not be in the top group for maths. I might not be in the top group for football. I might not have the most house points, but that doesn't mean I don't have smarts, and it doesn't mean I don't have skills. I'm at the end of the pier now. I could jump into the lake, but that isn't going to get this finished. Hock slows down to a walk. She knows. Compared to me, you're nothing, Lance Sparshot. It's like that ridiculous game you all play, the one with the geek, the robot, and the overlord. Well, I'm the overlord, and I was put here to enslave geeks like you. You're wrong, I say. You're pointless and weak, the archetypical geek. Yeah, I am a geek, and I'm proud of it, I say, taking one more step back. I meant you're wrong about you. She tried to step towards me, but her stupid heel is caught in between the wooden boards of the pier. She wobbles. You're not the overlord. Miss, you're the robot. I launch myself at her, and as she opens her mouth to scream, I stuff in a bunch of moss and hold my hand over her mouth, pushing us both over the edge of the pier. She fights me as well as we fall, but as we lunge into the water, the shock of the cold makes her gasp. She swallows the moss. I let go of her face and hope I never have to get that close to a teacher again. Then I leave her to splutter back to the surface. I take a breath and swim for the shore. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 21. But we're going to keep going. We're going to do chapter 22. It's only a few pages, so this is the very final part. Facing the future. I knew when I went on the trip to Crater Lake that I was going to be homesick, but I didn't realise how much. It's 8:37 a.m. I know that because I got my phone back. And I'm sitting on the sofa in a snug room at my house. Katja and Chet both managed to call for help, and not long after my final showdown with Hock, the police showed up, followed by ambulances, some official-looking guys in suits, and all of our parents. They'd found Trent not far from the activity centre, crying on a tree stump. He'd used up all the oxygen, run out of snacks, and got lost in the woods. They asked us some questions while we were there, and then let us go home to rest. I've sat here a million times. This is my favourite room in the house, but this time it's different. I can't believe you kept this house hidden from us all this time, Chet says. It's like a mansion. And there was everyone. And there was everyone thinking you were a tramp from the wrong side of the tracks, Max says, shoving a whole burger into his mouth. I never said we were poor, I say, and I dunk a chip into some ketchup. Well, now we can come here every weekend, Catcher says, lying on the other end of the sofa on the floor. That doesn't make sense. Catcher says, lying on the other end of the sofa, yawning like she hasn't slept for 2 days and 2 nights. You'll still come, won't you, Aid and Chet, even though you're going to Bing with the other genius kids? I'm not going to Bing, Aid says. What? Mac nearly choked on his burger. I never said I was going there. It's not for me. I'm going to Lantham with you guys. We all stare at her in surprise. It's like I told you at Crater Lake, she says. People are always making assumptions. Our parents are all in the kitchen having some kind of crisis meeting. So we eat and chat and laugh together until the tiredness starts to catch up with us. Catcher falls asleep first, curled up like a kitten. Then Mac just passes out on the floor with a pillow under his head. I guess he's used to sleeping rough, so our carpet is probably pretty comfortable in comparison. Adrian lies on the other sofa, her face turned away, just like she slept with my CPAP on at the center. You're never coming to Bing, are you, Lance? Chet says. No, I'd never get in there, and I'd hate it if I did. How will I get by without you? Chet asks. Chet, I say, looking over where he's made himself a nest on the floor. Think about what you've been through over the past few days. You're going to be just fine. And believe me. Oh, and I believe that. I honestly do. I don't think Trent's going to mess with me anymore, he says. No chance. He is not going to mess with you. I was, wasn't I? I was the best person here, and no one's going to mess with me. He's grinning bigger and bolder than I've ever seen him grin before. We'll still be friends though, right? Wherever we go, whatever we do, even if we don't see each other for ages, I promise you, Chet, that we will always, always be friends, and you will always be my best friend. You too, he says. My best friend. Night, Lance. And he lets his head fall asleep on the pillow. Within 2 minutes, he's snoring gently, like a bear cub. My eyes are so heavy, and my head is full of thoughts. And I look around at my friends and wonder why I didn't let them get in sooner. Why I didn't let them in sooner. Crater Lake has changed my life in so many ways, and I know that no matter what lies ahead, I'll deal with it. Actually, we'll deal with it together. I turn on the CPAP and strap the mask to my face, listening to the comforting, soft whir of its pump filling the tube with oxygen. Then I let my eyelids drop, and in a safe and happy place, with a stomach full and the people I love around me, I snuggle into a warm haze of contentment and finally go to sleep. And that is the end of Crater Lake. Hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It was genuinely the first time that I've ever read that book. I haven't read it. I hadn't even read that last little part until this moment. So I thought it was quite a good book. And if you did really, really enjoy it, there is another book by the author. So it's Jeniffer Killick, if you can see it there. And it is called Crater Lake Evolution. So I'm assuming it might be about what happened at Crater Lake before this happens, but I don't know because I haven't seen it. So if you're really interested, there is always that other book that you can get. Thank you for joining me for Crater Lake. Thank you for sticking throughout the whole thing. I thought it was really, really good. This is the very, very final video that I am recording. So have a lovely weekend, and I will see you all bright and early on Monday. See you all.